Well, the new school year has just begun, kids adjusting to their new lunch routines. But what should parents keep in mind to keep those lunches both fresh and healthy? Joining us this morning, Meredith Carruthers, a food safety expert with the USDA. And Meredith, you know, with the cost of food, nobody wants to have to throw anything out because it's spoiled. So it's so important to make sure we're packing those lunches correctly. What can parents do?
Absolutely. So in addition to not wanting to waste any food, we also want to make sure nobody's getting sick from foodborne illness, especially your kids. So the biggest thing that you can add to your back to school list this year is your freezer packs or anything that's going to be a cold source to keep your kids' lunch cold. Also considering an insulated lunch bag is another great option to keep that air inside the lunch bag nice and cold as your kid is taking it from the house to the lunchroom and, you know, spending about a few hours in between. So frozen gel packs, or you can even use things like frozen water bottles or frozen juice boxes or pouches. Those things are going to be important to keep your child's lunch cold, which will help keep it safe.
About how long can you expect? You send your kiddo off, let's say at 7 a.m. It'll make it through the lunch hour okay?
Yes, it should make it through the lunch hour okay. Of course, you want to keep in mind that if your kid is going on a field trip or going outside and it's really hot in your area, that time is going to be reduced. So you may want to consider packing an extra cold source just to make sure there's enough in there to really keep it cold the few hours until lunchtime. But you're absolutely right. If you're trying to pack something that's going to last till the end of the day, you may want to consider some alternatives or just really pack it full of those cold sources so you have adequate coverage for keeping it cold.
Okay, so what are some other things that we maybe just don't necessarily think of when it comes to keeping food safe and fresh so we don't get sick?
So especially if your parents are busy, they're trying to pack things the night before, maybe while also cooking dinner. That's, great options for time savers, but just keeping in mind that when you are preparing food in your home, you have to keep certain things, on top of mind. So for example, if you're preparing your dinner or something else and you're using raw meat or poultry, you also really want to make sure that you're keeping those nice and separate from any foods that are ready to eat, already cooked, aren't going to be cooked later on, because that bacteria from the raw meat and poultry can cross-contaminate onto your cooked foods, and we definitely don't want that because that can lead to foodborne illness. Hand washing is another big thing for back to school time frame, not just for lunch, but just in general as kids are getting back out and about and touching a bunch of things and whatnot. So encouraging hand washing, using it as an educational opportunity for your kids to teach them that it's always important to wash their hands before they eat their lunch. If you know that your kid is going on a field trip or somewhere else where running water might not be readily available, packing hand sanitizer with at least 60% alcohol content or any of those moist towelettes are also great alternatives to make sure hands are clean before we eat.
All the simple tips make such a difference. Meredith, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. Good advice.